Hello, Internet. So, what can role-playing games tell you about you? I'm going to tell you about that. But first, let me welcome you to the Empirical Sword. I'm Lawmaster DLC 79. I'm an INTJ. I'm a gamer, and I talk about things, sometimes for lengthy amounts of time. And hopefully, this is not going to be one of those half-hour videos. But back to the point. What can role-playing games tell you about you? Um, First of all, let me preface this with this is not going to be as in-depth as something like the Myers-Briggs or Hexaco or Enneagram. It's not going to dive deep into what makes you tick as a person. But at the same time, I don't really think it's one of those hokey kind of personality tests. Like the what's your signature weapon, or what Pokemon are you, or what D&D race are you, or what color is your lightsaber? Oh yeah, and by the way, totally a gold lightsaber. Uh-huh. Okay, what role-playing games can actually tell you about you and who you are as a person? This is all coming from the idea that we are all, that 99% of us are very horrible at acting. And yes, I'm including myself in that camp. Yes, there are amazing actors in the world. Not all of them are into role-playing games. And there are a lot of people who are into role-playing games, but most of them are not good at acting. Some of them are. But most of us, we come up with a very interesting and unique character with an amazing backstory on paper, but when we start playing the game, eventually we hit a point where our brain gets frustrated about making choices that go against us, and we start playing as ourselves. And I actually started my Play the Character series with this in mind. And the grand irony is, I'm not playing a character in Play the Character. I'm playing myself. And to drive the point home, in both Morrowind and Fallout 3, my character name has been Loremaster. I never entered into it with the intent of playing a different character or playing someone different from me, because I knew that after about 10 episodes, I would just be me. And Morrowind just sucked horribly. Fallout 3, I was actually surprised, because I knew Fallout 3 would have these mechanics where you get to choose how you complete the quests, and you either gain karma or lose karma because of it. I kind of assumed that me being an INTJ, I would go through being a total dillweed to everybody because people are frustrating. Admit it, you're frustrating. Go on, admit it. Stop lying. But really, I think. I was surprised at how quote unquote good the game thinks I am, morally speaking. I think part of that is that for an INTJ, big picture, we care. We care about the well-being of everybody. We just don't want to deal with individual people. It's the individual people who are frustrating, but the big picture of society, that's what we care about. You and your small talk, go away. And yes, there have been moments in Fallout 3 where I like Tenpenny Tower. It's like the people were so caught up in their own bigotry. Eventually, I was like, screw it, they'll die. Minus karma, I don't care. They'll die. It's better for the world, really. Mastermind, world domination. Yeah, it's better for the world. Just kill all the bigots. I'm not being serious here, but it's this behavior that you should keep an eye out for, because at a certain point, your behavior, your choices, your actions will reflect who you are as a person. And I mean, I personally wouldn't set an entire set a pack of feral animals onto an entire building. Not in the real world. We have to remember that this is going to be through the lens of fantasy. It's like, how quickly do you grow frustrated to the point that the lives of the NPCs don't matter? It kind of reveals your level of your threshold for frustrating behavior. And again, me being an INTJ, I assume my threshold for frustration would be like down here. Apparently, it's a little more up here. Most of the when dealing with games. Real people, on the other hand, well, again, I would not sacrifice an entire building of people to feral animals just because they're bigots. I would think about it, and again, the fantasy lens right there. And there has actually been research. Mostly, the research I'm familiar with is kind of surveys or correlation studies of internet usernames and psychopathic behavior. People who have very antisocial, racist, or sexist names in chat rooms and forums and online games tend to be slightly more antisocial / psychopathic than people who don't have antisocial names. That's really the only study I'm familiar with. I should have done more research. Time. I know, stop doing so many different things. I get bored. Again, that's an INTJ thing. But yeah, just it's all about your behavior and how you react and respond to the events in the game, and you just how quickly you lose the desire to be diplomatic. Actually, this is more of a real world, and really it's a sample size of one, a real world experiment, which is not really an experiment because sample size of one. I've actually taken the hexato test. I'm a little tired, so the words aren't coming out right. I've actually taken the hexaco test twice. First time I took it, I was a little surprised by the altruism thing, because I'm like right there in the middle. I don't know if this favorably looking on me or an unfavorable look on everybody else. It's one or the other, or both. But the second time I took it, I had a really bad day. See, at work I have to deal with people who are grown-ups. They're grown-up adults, but they behave like children. I believe this one day, I basically just told this guy, I don't want to put out, I still have to work there, so I don't want to put out too many details. Not that they're actually watching this. But there's this guy there. Nobody likes him, and you'll see why. You will see why. But nobody likes him, and I had to deal with him, and I basically had to tell him that somebody told me to do something, and he didn't like it. And normally he would have just like started yelling and throwing a hissy fit at me. No, instead he ran around. Well, didn't run. He walked around the place, slammed this door, slammed the next door, slammed the next door, slammed the next door. Yeah, nobody likes him. In fact, people make fun of him behind his back for that kind of behavior. But that's the day that I had, and I took the Hexaco test. Oi. Words, they be hard. But after that, I took the Hexaco test again. I don't know why. But my altruism score, 0. So I do think there's a little something to this, that even in a virtual environment such as a role-playing game, the events that you have to navigate, the choices you have to make, eventually your brain kind of does its thing, and your behavior in the game will mimic, not only mirror, but mimic or follow your behavior as it would be in the real world. So if you're a little more prone to violence, you're probably going to be a lot more run and gun, hack and slash, just kill them all and let the divines sort them out. I was actually surprised that I tend to favor diplomacy more than violence. Then again, as a shooter, again, talking about Fallout 3, it's a shooter, and I suck at aiming. Even though the game seems to suck at aiming more than I do, which that is mind-boggling. But that's basically the idea there. Your behavior in the game will mimic the behavior that you might have in the real world. Again, it's through a fantasy lens, because the consequences in a game are a lot softer than they are in the real world. So you keep that in mind. Again, I would not throw an entire building of people to a pack of feral animals just because they're bigots and frustrated me. I would be tempted, and I would think about it. I might even enjoy thinking about it, but I would not actually do it. Other people might. But yeah, that's the basic point. And it's getting to the point where I should not clap on camera because the microphone is like right there. I just saw the giant audio spike. That may require some editing. But yeah, it's to that point where we need to wrap this up because, again, I did not want this video to be this long. I was shooting for 5 minutes. Yeah, pipe dreams. But yeah, remember, school doesn't teach. That's the kind of thing here. We have to be the masters of our education. And I have an entire playlist where I talk about the things that school should be teaching, but isn't. And yes, you can get it because you are smarter than you think. And gaming, intellectual exercise. I don't know if I actually say that as part of the sign-off. You know what? I am. I mean, we don't edit. We roll freely here. Whatever happens, happens. It's on camera. Authenticity and genuinosity. Uh-huh. Yep. But that's the thing. And if intellectual stuff is in gaming is kind of your thing, you want to see more of it, or you just want to see more of these videos, subscribe and hit that bell icon because that's how you get notified. Don't clap on camera. But that's how you get notified. Whenever I drop videos like this, and whatever you're watching, I seriously should not be recording now. Whatever you're watching next, I will see you then.